Today, I'm out with a camera, looking for good subjects to photograph. And of course I'll tell you about the mushrooms I find along the way, but my focus is on what makes them work as a motif. I have spent years learning about fungi, that's the world I know best, but with photography I'm still a student. And what I'm after are the moments where those two meet. A mushroom that stands out for its color, its texture, or simply the way it belongs in its surroundings. And remember, looking is not the same as seeing. Welcome to Fungi of the North. For subjects today, I'm looking for fungi that not only make good photos but also help me learn as I go. Here, I found my first one, and I want to see if I can get something out of it. Come a little closer and have a look for yourself. This is the Candlesnuff Fungus, small brittle clubs of black with their tips dusted in white, as if dipped in ash. They grow from decaying wood, often in dense clusters like this one, feeding on what's left on fallen branches and stumps. By themselves, they're easy to walk past, plain, almost lifeless, but through the lens, that sharp contrast of black and white comes alive. Perhaps not the most spectacular fungus in the forest, but as a subject, it forces me to look closer, to notice shape and detail where I'd usually see nothing at all. As for the results, they're alright I suppose. I do like the contrast of black and white against the green moss. In my head, I imagine the mushrooms as towering monoliths, but I place a camera too high, so we're looking at them straight on instead of from below. The depth of field is also off in places, with parts of the subject slipping out of focus. Still, there are some shots I'm happy with, like this one with the droplets. They add a little sparkle, giving life to something that might otherwise feel quite plain. So yeah, it's Instagram worthy I guess. And speaking of that, I do have an Instagram where you can follow this process. The link is in the description. Follow me now and check back in a year, or two, to see if I learned from my mistakes. Oh, look at this one. There's a pattern I wish to capture. Look at this on the cap. Almost maze-like. And it gives it this extra shine with the moisture from the rain. This is a Mottled Bolete, I'm pretty sure. Haven't looked underneath yet. I won't, because I don't want to ruin this mushroom. The Mottled Bolete grows on the birch, and we can see all the birch leaves on the ground here. And there's the tree. The Mottled Bolete Leccinum variicolor is a member of the birch-loving Leccinum group, most often found in damp woodlands and mossy clearings. Its cap is covered with a distinctive mottled pattern of light and dark browns, almost dark grey or black in dry weather, giving it a marbled appearance. The stem carries the characteristic dark scabers, typical of Leccinum mushrooms. As I move in closer with the camera, the intricate surface of the cap comes into focus. The Mottled Bolete shows this maze-like swirled pattern across its skin. Dark brown shades broken up by lighter marbling. In certain light, it almost looks like brush strokes on canvas, each raindrop adding a gloss that brings the texture alive. Here we have a cluster of Sheathed Woodtufts, an edible wood-loving mushroom that often grows in tight tufts on decaying broadleaf logs, especially birch. The caps are hygrophonous, meaning that when moist, they are rich orange to cinnamon colored, but they dry to paler tan hues that fade from the center outward. The stem is slender with that ring zone, smooth and light above, darker and scaly below the ring. But this is not a beginner-friendly mushroom. It strongly resembles the funeral bell, a deadly species. One of the key differences is that the Sheathed Woodtuft, the lowest stem under the ring, has coarse scales, whereas the funeral bell tends to have silky or fibrous threads. If you're even in doubt, don't eat it. Always double-check the details. So, to be able to photograph these, I have had to flip my camera around on the tripod, so the camera is actually upside down now.
because I want to photograph underneath this mushroom, the gills. That's where the magic is happening. And I couldn't simply just move these mushrooms, so I had to do it this way. Also, what you need to do is to bring a little light to the subject. So if we place this light there, we can see the difference it makes. So here we can see with the light and without. So you can just play around with the placement of it slightly. Here's something you might not have seen before. I almost didn't see it myself. But look here. There's some tiny yellow, what looks like slime mold on this piece of wood. Let's see if I can photograph this. And to be able to photograph this properly, I need to bring out my magnification gear. Because these are just like small yellow specks of dust. As I suspected, these were kind of too small to be able to photograph, so I brought out a hidden tool here. This is a Raynox. This is a magnifier, and with this one you can just clip it on, and this will magnify 2 times. So let's see how this is.
This tiny organism is a slime mold, as I mentioned. In this case, it's the Hysarum viride. Despite often being studied alongside fungi, slime molds are not fungi at all. They are closer to amoeba, single-celled organisms that can move, merge, and eventually form these delicate fruiting bodies. And photographing them is a real challenge. Each sporangium is barely a pinhead in size, and even small shifts in focus can throw most of the structure out of sharpness. I did struggle with aperture here and there, sometimes stopping down too far, softening the details, and other times leaving it too open, losing depth of field. But I got this shot, which I'm fairly happy with.
Here's a fun little mushroom. This one. This is called the Earthy Powdercap. But it's stuck in deep moss. And it's kind of difficult to take a good picture of these ones where they stand. So what I will do here is actually attempt to move them somewhere else. I know that is bordering on arranging is seen and perhaps seen as cheating, but I think it's kind of drab and boring when you see an image like this from above. So yeah, I move these mushrooms to this nearby stump, and as a result we can get underneath it where the magic is happening, as we can see here. So now we can see the gills as well as the skirt, along with the other key identifiers for this mushroom. So this will make for a better picture in my opinion. And for those who say this may be cheating, I totally understand that. It's perfectly fair. But this is what you have to do sometimes to be able to capture this.
And just so I don't break my habit, this is, as I mentioned, the Earthy Powdercap, Cystoderma amianthinum, a small fragile mushroom which grows on acidic soils, often found in heathland, mossy woodland edges and boggy clearings. The cap is covered in a fine powdery surface, and the color is mostly yellow ochre, usually darker in the center. Its gills are crowded and pale, and the slender stem carries a fleeting fragile ring or collar with a granular texture below. And true to its name, it has a distinctly earthy, musty smell. Though striking in form, it's not considered edible.
Most fungi, they don't display a wide range of vivid colors, but they are usually shades of brownish grey. But sometimes something with really vivid colors shows up, like this Russula. And here's this perfect specimen right here, on the perfect location as well. Because this is a small grassy knoll, so we can access it better with the camera.
To capture this mushroom, I got down low into the moss, using a wide aperture to let the background fall into a soft blur. A gentle sidelight helped reveal the texture of the scarlet cap while keeping the white stem bright against the green. Framing it from this low angle makes the mushroom stand almost like a pillar in the forest floor, showing off its bold colors in contrast to the surrounding moss. And this mushroom is the Russula emetica, commonly known as the Sickener, a vivid red brittlegill found beneath conifers, especially spruce. The cap is scarlet red and convex when young, often fading or streaked in wet weather. The gills are white, crowded and brittle, and the stem is white and sometimes slightly yellowing with age. It's not edible, they say, and true to its name, it has a sharp, peppery bite and causes strong gastrointestinal upset if consumed when not cooked thoroughly. You can actually taste test rustlers out in the field to see if they're edible or not, but I already know that this mushroom is extremely biting.
Okay, let's just do it for the fun of it. Oh, this is extremely sharp. I can see why they call it the Sickener. Look at this thing. Can't really take a photograph of this. But here we can see a perfect example of a fairy ring. So if we zoom out, we can clearly see mushrooms growing in a circle. I will try to capture one of these, just to show where you place the light in a scene can make all the difference. Here's directly from above, and if I go below, the image looks like this. I think I prefer from above here, like this.
This mushroom is the Rhodocollybia butyracea, better known as the buttercap, and yes, I was extremely pleased with this photo. That brings this journey to a close. From the bold reds of the Sickener to the near invisible jewels of slime molds, each find is a reminder of how much life lies hidden at our feet, waiting to be noticed. As I said at the beginning, looking is not the same as seeing. To see is to recognize these fleeting forms for what they are, moments in time greater than the sum of their parts, here only briefly before they vanish. And if you stayed with me this far, I hope you'll join me again here on Fungi of the North at a later time.